Welcome back to the Ruckus build, and as you can see, it's not really a scooter anymore, it's just an engine on blocks, so let's get this cleaned up. So before we get into cleaning this up, just a quick update as far as how the rest of the build is going. So as you can see, this is pretty much the only thing remaining from what used to be a scooter. The wiring and everything is in the battery box, just sitting right there, ready to go back in. We have the gas tank and the exhaust. The exhaust is in pieces, so we're gonna figure that out later. So further over here, we have the frame bits that are getting ready for powder coat. So this rear frame, boy, was that a project. Getting some of those pieces out, it was severely rusted, so I've wire wheeled and sanded and cut pretty much everything that needs to be cut, so that's getting ready. These should be out this week. Couple bits that I'm painting myself, some of the battery box pieces, headlight, steering stem, all that's being painted and drying right now. And then more of the frame parts right here getting degreased. But speaking of degrease, that's the first thing that we got to do with this guy. It is clearly seen better days. It is pretty much black in some spots where it shouldn't be. This is what the color of the plastic piece here actually is, and that's what the bottom looks like. So before we start changing the oil and getting this tuned up and all that, I need to really clean this and hit it with a lot of degreaser just to get all that surface stuff up and out of the way, make it look fresh on the outside, so then we can make it fresh on the inside. Well, what a way to spend your Labor Day. I don't know when this is coming out, but it is Labor Day today, so that's what I did. I labored, and it is at least 100 degrees today, especially in the garage. But look how it is now. It is so much cleaner than it was before I started. There's little to no grease left. Yes, there are a few spots in here that are hard to get and probably will just be good enough. We also found some extra bits here that were made redundant from the old system, the old carburetor, I think. Some extra pieces or extra electronic bits that were just kind of snipped off from the original Riva. Those are going to stay off, a little bit of weight reduction. Also, while I was cleaning this, a few things that I found that I think I need to address at least. One of them is the rear brake situation here. So I had mentioned in my first ride that the rear brake basically didn't work. And I don't know if it's the drum brakes, but it might actually be the actuation of it, because I found this piece. It's kind of interesting because the original from the Riva, this is where the cable would have connected, and then there's a little holder right here, and then it would go up to the front controls. But this one has a different wheel on it rather than the stock one, so it's much thicker. So what the previous owner did, or that the builder did, was add this little piece right here. And I'm pretty sure that this piece was actually a portion of the center stand for this engine, which is kind of interesting. It's a little ingenious actually. I kind of like it. I also noticed that when this was on with the wheel, this was very, very close to the rim right here, and if there was any slack in it whatsoever, it would be touching the rim, like right about here, it would be touching. So I might actually take an angle grinder to this and just cut off some of the excess, so that way it gives me just a little bit more clearance. Also, the rear shock here, which is the stock Riva, at least I think it is, and it's actually really comfortable, really cool. It's got a progressive spring, which is really nice. But one of the things that I had noticed when I took this apart was that there is either a spacer missing here, or I just need a bigger bolt to actually fit the diameter in here. So this needs to be, yeah, a lot more secure. One of the other things I need to do is actually, I think I need to add a spacer, like a washer, maybe two, on these bolts to push the wheel out, because I found this on the case. It rubbed. I think some additional spacers here will just give me a little bit more clearance, just like a millimeter. That's all I really need in order to give myself at least peace of mind. I think that would also help to clear this brake lever right here as well. Then we have to address the exhaust. So when I took this off, it literally just fell apart. As you see here, it was not even connected really, these two pieces, the header and the muffler. So I'm pretty sure that's why this thing was so insanely loud. It's because there's so many exhaust leaks. So minus that huge laundry list of things, this engine is ready to go and just needs to be changed with oil and a filter. So I think I'm actually going to wait to do that until I have the frame back from powder coating, so that way I can put this together, because the oil drain bolt is right here, which is underneath the blocks that it's currently sitting on. And I'm very, very tired.
One eternity later.
Welcome to a week and a half later, and not much has happened since then. There's not really much I can do at this point. I'm kind of at the mercy of the powder coater right now, and just kind of getting every little thing that I possibly can until it's actually coming time to bolting things up onto a frame. So last we saw this engine, it was pretty much in the exact same state. Since then though, I have actually done a few things to it. I went ahead and changed all the fluids out of it. I know you're supposed to run it before you do that, but who cares? Also addressed the brake here, took off this piece and took a look at the brake shoes, and they're actually in really good shape. And even though I ordered one, I decided to keep the original ones in here because they were really, really good, and the new ones were pretty tight and I wasn't able to get this fully on. But I did replace the springs, which were down here. Those two were not really returning the arm right here very well, so I replaced it with the new springs, and so now it's got a lot of spring to it. Speaking of the brake arm, I also took this off and ground it down so it just has a little bit more clearance with the rims. The top of the shock right here, I have the sleeve in place so I can use the existing bolt so it's not going to rattle around too much. Also down below in the shock, I mounted the license plate holder slash rear brake light. This is going to kind of replace any bar that would go under the seat on the frame. For brake lights, I'm just going to have this one, and I think it will probably go with the theme a little bit better. Speaking of theme, a couple other things I was doing while filling out my time, really, and waiting until I get the powder coated frame back, is this, the battery box. So this is the old one. Not going to be using this one, I have a brand new one, but I was using this kind of as a mock-up, so I put some graphics right here to kind of get a general idea for what my new theme is going to look like. In addition to that, I also put the headlight assembly together, so the metal bits here on the headlight frame have been painted, and I put a little bit of decals on the headlights here to, again, go with the theme. I don't think I'm giving anything away with these two. I would be absolutely shocked if someone were to guess the theme based on these two items. The header is getting de-rusted, although it's actually a very slow process. There was a lot caked onto this, and so I've gone over this already multiple times with wire wheels, with sandpaper, with an angle grinder, all that stuff, and you can still see that it's got this orange tinge to it, but it's starting to shine up a little bit.
3 days later.
Here we are 3 days later, and I've added pretty much every bit and bob I can put onto the engine before actually putting it on the frame. So all of the covers, all the fairings have been put back on, the carb and the intake has been put back on, and I have mocked up the exhaust. Was hoping I could do a little bit more to this exhaust because it's kind of hacked together as it is, but I'm kind of on a time crunch and this is gonna just work for now. This is probably gonna be something I'm gonna address later on in the future with something a little bit more substantial. I have completed sanding and painting this with silver paint, which actually kind of looks really bad. I might redo it with black because this silver just does not go with the tarnished chrome of the muffler. But I have it roughly mocked up. I have the bracket put back in place and fixed, and it's been painted as well, so no more rust. And then this piece, it is still very tarnished. It might actually go with theme a little bit, but we'll see. That's up to interpretation. So I guess that's all I can really do at this point. I'm again at the mercy of the powder coaters. It's taking a lot longer than I anticipated, but I pretty much have everything ready so that once the powder coated frame gets to me, I can literally just bolt it together and put everything on this. Engine, battery box, electronics, everything. Until then, let's just cross our fingers and hope that this comes in before Ride Around the Block, because that's the ultimate goal here. I want to get this ready so I can have it and tuned in time to go on that ride. In fact, look at that. I have the previous year's shirt on right now. It's like I planned it. So this is just going to be a quick little update video more or less around the engine while we just kind of wait on things, but we're in the final stretch and just maybe one video, 2 videos, and then we'll see the final reveal. And I hope you guys really enjoy what is to come because I'm really, really psyched about this build. I've been getting so hyped up about it, especially in this waiting period. I'm just getting all these theme parts together. There's a lot of little touches that I'm going to put on this thing. It's going to make it just fantastic, and I think everyone's going to have a super fun time with this. So look forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.